I live again. I shall command every worm-infested son of a bitch that ever died in battle.
Hello, this is Associate Professor Gantzplayerdante, Professor of Gaming. I'm going to be talking about my P5 Necro build again. I'm going to be going through each and every single perk and explain why I'm spec'd into it and why I'm not. The first thing I'm going to go for is this extra large Trident Smash. Widens the impact. You don't really need to spec into this. If you don't want to, you could put 2 points into this. The reason I'm spec'd into it is because this actually increases the damage towards book. And the damage increases from 162 to 211. So it's useful to spec into this just for book damage as well. And that would also include this as well towards book phase, but I don't think it's really necessary to spec into Trident Missile. It's just not enough damage. And the wind up to do it is you'll be dead by the time you do it. So obviously we want health in our units, the balance bar in our units. So Rocksteady Elite, Health Razor Elite, Rocksteady Basic, and Health Razor Basic. Now you don't want to have 3 points into this because the only thing that happens from 10%, it goes 28 per Infernal Energy Orb to 30. So just a 3-point increase, not necessary to spec into. Rocksteady Boss, not really useful to spec into because once you hit level 20, bosses balance bar will be immune to damage. So that's for the first row. Let's go to the second one. Like I said, Seismic Smash increased from 162 to 211. Very good for book phase, and it's very powerful against survivors. And we can tickle survivors' feet with that widening increase as well. This does increase damage on book. AI don't understand that this is increased, so the only useful this would be is denying resist for ourselves if we possess a basic and we do a smash from a distance. But once again, it doesn't increase damage on book, so I'm not really worried about it. Here, Portal Authority Elites, 10%. That 20% is not really going to help us. Scared Demonic Dash, we're only spec'd into so we can get to Health Razor Boss. Now, Energizing Demonic Dash would be useful to spec into, but Bone Rage doesn't do anything, and to waste 3 points to get to irreparable damage, we could use those points on something else. And I'll explain why I'm not spec'd into this once we get to that row. So let's go to the second row here. Third, Trident Missile, once again, a lot of fun to use. I like to spec into it. But for wins, I don't think it's really useful. By the time you do the Seismic Slam and then go for the cancel to Trident Missile, they can jerk a ship in between that, and it's very easy to dodge. A quick charge Demonic Dash, we're only using that to get to the expanded skeletal support. And I'll explain why we go bottom instead of top tree. This can also help you deny resist as well, because it's easier to charge your Demonic Dash. Test of time, 10% between 15 is just a couple seconds, not really useful to spec all the way in. Infernal Refill, we have spec'd into this, so we don't have to spec 4 points into these two to be effective. I believe Necro is a objective demon, so this really helps you during book phase and makes you not need Portal Authority basics. If you like the early game rush, I would recommend specking into this. And also heavy damage for basics. Once again, Bone Rage, I don't think it does anything. I don't see any difference between it having on or off. So let's go to the fourth one here. Portal Authority Boss. The whole reason we're not spec'd up in this top area is because it doesn't require Infernal Energy to summon the boss. So all this does is help us summon boss sooner, which means our boss is going to get depossessed sooner if there's a David or a Hunter Ash that knows how to use his depossession on boss. So I don't think it's necessary to spec into. Once again, this doesn't increase damage on survivors. It increases healing for Evil Ash, the only thing that increases damage with grab is Flautist. So we're just specking these 2 points here just so we can get to expanded skeletal support. And I'll explain why once we get to that perk. Come back stronger, obviously, so our units stay alive longer. They're going to be doing more damage, they're going to have more health, so they're going to be harder to kill during book phase. And we want as much protection during book phase as possible, so we want that 30 seconds. We want our boss to have as much health as possible, so we respect into this as well, so we can attack book as long as possible. Boss, because boss does the most damage on book. And then second is basic, third is elites. Irreparable damage, like I said, it's 4 seconds. If it was 6 seconds, maybe I consider putting pointer into this, because as you're doing your final attack, you're going to do a sword swirl, and as you're doing the spin of the sword, they're going to be able to drink us some shemps in between that. So this is really not necessary. If you're doing your combo right, they're not going to be able to drink a shemp anyways between that. The only reason this is going to help is for supports, but supports don't know if you're spec'd into this, so they're going to be spamming amulets anyways. So just the threat of this is enough. So I don't think it's really necessary to spec into. Don't get me wrong. This is very good during book phase, if you have this as well. But once again, I'd rather use these 2 points for damage during book, which is here. So you could go something like this, and then take a point out somewhere else. Here. Something like that. But then if they have a David, you're going to be pretty much messed up. This perk can counter David entirely. This 10%. So that's why I have the points in there. And this is just to hit a lot of survivors. They'll have to double dodge instead of just one dodge to get out of the range of this. So let's go to the last one. The aura is really small. The only units that are going to get rezzed, if you're not spec'd into this, are the ones that are protecting you around book. Now, I totally understand that, like, okay, you could take 3 points out of here and put 2 points there, or do something like this. Use those 3 points for something else, because you'll have those units protecting you anyways, and those are the only ones you need. But against very good survivors, your units are going to travel like away from you. So I want those units to be rezzed. We want the max distance for Flautist because this is 60 yards. So we're going to place Flautist from a distance. That way it takes longer for them to get. And this is so they can't just one-shot the Flautist. Skeletal reinforcement, the only thing that this does is it summons one more elite, but that's not really necessary because of Gates of Hell that we have here. Gates of Hell here is going to help us for our units on book here. These points are pointless because it's only useful during boss summons. Buff Bones doesn't really help because once they die, Come Back Stronger is going to take effect. This is only a couple seconds of Flautist reduction, and that takes time to set up, so it's not really useful. So the only thing I would really change here is try and put points in the basics here. But these points don't affect book. So also Gates of Hell for boss doesn't work as well. You're not going to get boss twice during book. So that's why I have the build the way I do. I know this is very strong for early game rush, but since I'm not expecting the basics, it's not really useful for me. And I like Resurrection. I think Resurrection is very strong. Well, like I said, I could take 2 points out of here and do something like this, because when I possess the unit, it's not going to be stronger. And then take a point out of the healthy points or something and put it here. That way I'm doing tons of damage. And go with something like this. That way I'm able to do a lot of damage and then keep up my units as well. But once again, you know, if you want to go for like a full unit build, I would take points out of here, and yeah, you don't really need all this stuff here. So there, and then there. So this is like a full unit build, and not worried like about speccing into resurrection and stuff like that. So you wouldn't really need points here. I'll go over something like this. And do this. You don't really need that. Probably want to go for more behind you here. So something like this would be a good unit. Destruction thing, not really focusing on resurrection. I just think resurrection is so important during book phase. Because that's what's going to protect your boss. But if you have this build, you can go for 4 heavies, then resurrection, and then another 4 heavies, and then drop boss. And then start using your other units. So in this aspect, it would be good for a good book build. Because like I said, this is going to increase your damage on book. And this is going to help you, you know, kill a survivor during book phase. But you know, honestly, there's other things you could do here that could help you. Let's see. Put another point here, and then you can go something like this. Just because this is going to help you deny reses, but you're going to have to be using the basics to possess. Keep the survivors down. And I'll do some test builds and show ways on how to really use this build, but I honestly, my favorite build would be something like this. I love the trident throw. I know it's garbage, but it's just so fun to use. You know, spawning elites on top of the roofs is so fun. Let's go here. That way we just get the maximum energy just to use for elites here. Wouldn't use basics really. And let's see. Yeah, let's do this. Yeah, we wanted this one anyways. But honestly, you don't really need that. Because you could just possess it off the traps and stuff. So, something like this, I think would be fun to use. And this will, you know, increase damage on book, but like I said, the wind up for the trident throw is too long for you to really take effect into it. And then we have nothing in Infernal Refill, so that's not really going to help us. But like I said, I'll be trying all these builds and showing you guys like how good it is. So yeah, thank you for watching.